This podcast provides a platform that will share many different points of views that should empower you, uplift you, make you want to go out and do right. When you hear the term still a man, say, yes, I am. Still a man. Yes, I am. Still a man. Yes, I am. Let's go.
What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of the Still a Man podcast. Tonight, we will be talking about banking while black. All right, let's get right to it. What does that mean to you guys? Bert, we're gonna go right to you. Welcome back. What does banking while black mean to you? When you hear that term, what does it mean?
Well, I think just in your phrase of calling it that, I mean, I just don't think Black people got the equal opportunity of banking as far as like loans and, different types of business than most other minorities. I definitely believe other minorities have a lot better opportunities and a lot more opportunities to gain business access to money than Black people do. But our Black money is more powerful than all of their money.
Well said, well said, well said. Patsy, you up next. What does that term mean to you when you hear that?
It's a very interesting phrase. I've never really heard of that, but I get it in terms of what was presented in the videos you sent us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dang, that is like I really never thought of it in that terms, and I never really seen any situation when I'm at the bank, regardless. Probably just because like of where I'm banking in, in our neighborhood, it's like a mixed. So I've never seen anybody get treated disrespectfully in that manner.
And a lot of times it happens too, when we're banking and stuff like that. Most of us are minding the business that pays us. We're trying to get in, get our transaction completed, get in and get out. We don't want nobody looking over our shoulders, and we don't want nobody thinking that we looking over their shoulders. So we try to speed that along as fast as possible. All right, Tanya, it's on you, dear. What does that term mean to you, banking while black?
Banking while black. It's some of what Bird said about loans and business, getting business loans, housing loans. People looking at you not strangely, but giving you the side eye when you walk in, especially if you got a big check. They want to hold it longer than they would any other check for any other customers. I had that experience once when I used to go, when I was the private cook for a doctor, self-made millionaire. And I would walk, he was elderly, so I would take him to the bank, and people would just be looking at us peculiarly, mostly looking at me, making sure that I wasn't taking advantage of him.
And may I ask what was his race?
He was white.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was my experience. And it wasn't too long after that we parted ways, I'll tell you.
All right. Sean, you're up next. What does that term banking while black, what does it mean to you? And have you ever had any experiences regarding that?
I'll answer it. Second question first, then to the first. I've never experienced anything negative while banking black, but based off of what I've heard of people's experiences and stuff like that, um, you know, people like businesses, for instance, black businesses that want to get anything from the bank. I guess our people have to jump through more hurdles than the average counterparts do. And it's just, I don't know. I'm learning about it now. I've heard it all during the whole protest time, but I'm just now really getting a grasp of what it's actually meaning. Like what it stands for today. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, I guess it just goes along the lines of everything else that we got to fight harder for, or to either be considered almost an equal, even just counted, if you will.
Okay, well said. All right, Robert, it's on you. What does banking while black mean to you, and have you ever had any negative experiences? You have to turn your mic on. All right, we're gonna go to Gregory. Robert must be having technical difficulties. All right.
I'm gonna dig into my so-called conspiracy bag and say that banking and bankers are passing their legacies down through their family, and it's quite a few people that own the banks that are all around us. So when you start thinking about getting loans and stuff, these people been controlling the banks and controlling people with money since slavery. So like I say about all other systems, I feel like if it was created around the time we were in slavery, it needs to be restarted somehow, where it's a fair shot for everybody, and it's no like discrimination going on and people going in there and they look a certain way, so they're not gonna get a loan and all that crazy stuff. But for the other part of the question, like Sean said, I never experienced that really. I think it depends on where you live or where you go. So I really don't understand how these scammers be going to banks out of town and you don't even look like a person from that town and you're gonna go try to cash a check. It's crazy. I don't know how we fell into that in our community.
All right. So if you're just joining us tonight, we are talking about banking while black. And the question is presented to the panel right now is, what does banking while black mean to you? And have you ever had any negative experiences due to this mindset? Robert, I'm gonna give you another chance. Are you with us? Okay. So did we get any new participants? Okay, so I'm go ahead and move on. All right, so basically, in accordance to this term, banking while
You
black.
got Kiana.
Okay, Key, you feel like sharing?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so you heard the question.
I did. Personally, I haven't dealt with any banking while black. Um, but there's been plenty of stories of people trying to cash their own checks and having the police called on them and not being able to withdraw their own money because apparently, when you're black, you shouldn't have any money to be banking. There are, as Gregory and Sean pointed out, there's a bunch of systems in place for not being offered loans. It's harder for us to get business loans, apparently, because they don't want to finance our upward mobility. So that's problematic. Of course, getting a loan for a home, there's all the red tape and redlining and being charged higher interest loans, or even having people's homes devalued, their property not valued the same as if a whole white person moved in your house and got an appraisal. So there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed and tackled.
Okay, so just basically a synopsis. You guys are basically all in agreement. This is harder for.
And you have Uncle T joined us.
All right, Timmy, I'm gonna give you a chance. 1 second. So basically, you guys are all in agreement where you feel like that this. It almost sounds like this all stems from cultural biases. So this is what makes it harder for people of color to have basically good experiences when it comes to banking, be it trying to get a loan, trying to get assistance from the bank to start a new business, or just going in there simply to pay your mortgage or cashing a check, or basically making a transfer. There are some biases, some racial discrimination that prevents them from giving people of color quality services. And so this term banking while black is not something that's new. It's just like everything else. Today, society puts a lot of labels on things. And then I think in doing so, once you label something, it becomes an issue where now we got to talk about it. Now we got to deal with it because there's no more denying it. So Timmy, can you hear us? Tim?
Take your mic off.
You got to take your mic off of mute. All right, we're going to come back to him. So now that we're clear about that, let's go to the first video. It's rather long. So everybody, if you choose to, get yourself a pen and some paper and write down some of these issues.
Start David Brewing.
I'm Kevin Dorn. This is Nightcast. Accused, handcuffed, humiliated. Tonight, 5 Investigates shows us what happened to a young black man in Columbia Heights who was trying to cash his paycheck. Lawyers and advocates say his experience is part of a national phenomenon known as banking while black. That man tells investigative reporter Eric Rasmussen he was racially profiled when a manager called police minutes after he walked into a U.S. bank branch last year. This is a story you will only see on Nightcast.
That man, Joe Morrow, spoke with us in detail about what happened. U.S. Bank, however, would not go on camera. It's settled with Morrow after we started asking questions, but we were still able to obtain police body camera video of that incident that the bank does not want you to see. When police got the call to a busy U.S. Bank branch in Columbia Heights last year, a call for a fraudulent check and a suspect posing a threat.
How's it going?
This is how they found 23-year-old Mississippi native Joe Morrow sitting in a chair in the bank manager's office, leaning back with his hands folded. Police blurred out branch manager John Asquith, as state law requires, because he did not want us to see or hear him in the video. Morrow wanted everyone to know what happened.
I just got through working like 12 hours, I think.
His job at UNFI, a grocery supplier better known as Super Value in Hopkins. Closer to home, Morrow stopped here at U.S. Bank in Columbia Heights to cash his paycheck for $900. Despite having an account, that simple transaction was anything but.
They was all looking at me and just staring at me. And then looking at the check and then staring at me again, I'm like, now I'm already knowing like what they thinking, the check fake. The manager, he came over and said, Joe Morrow, your check fake. And I said, what? He said, you people are always coming in here with fake checks.
Who do you think he meant?
Black people.
I work there, bro. And I'm a recruiter too, bro.
Morrow continued pleading his case with Police Sergeant Justin Pletcher in the room. Morrow's claim of racial profiling immediately met with this warning.
Joe, I need you to calm down, first of all, okay? All right?
Still sitting in the chair as the sergeant held his ID and his check, Morrow insisted it was the bank who owed him an explanation.
They called me in front of everybody talking about this is a fake check. That ain't no fake check. I work there. We could confirm that.
2 minutes later.
What's his name?
Joe.
A second officer arrives, and the bank manager asks police to take Morrow to an adjacent office.
The manager told the officer, like, can you get him out of my office? He might touch anything on my desk. I'm like, what? That's when I got super mad, like, what? I'm gonna touch something on your desk.
Joe.
That anger only visible for a second.
Joe, let's go over there, man.
When he complies with officers' orders and stands up.
Okay, let's handcuff him.
A split second, Morrow says he'll never forget.
Like, definitely when I got handcuffed and stuff, everybody looking like, when I'm coming out of his office, I was handcuffed, so people looking.
How did that make you feel?
Like crazy, like I'm a criminal or something, like I'm doing like something bad, like I actually came here with a fake check.
In his report, the sergeant later wrote that Morrow flexed at John, the bank manager, in a threatening manner.
I didn't threaten him. I got up, like, you know, in a like, you know, like a mad.
Do you have anything on you that could hurt, harm, hopefully in any way?
Still handcuffed, Morrow offered more evidence of his innocence.
I got the text that Neil said what day it started and all that, and how many hours I worked, all that. I could have came to here and showed them that.
According to the police report, the bank manager said he'd received a lot of fraudulent checks using the UNFI logo. Morrow says the manager claimed he already called the company and confirmed the check was fake.
So, who do we need to call?
But this body camera video shows the bank manager did not actually make that critical call until after Morrow was already in handcuffs.
So, it's a real, the check number's real.
Morrow's employer confirmed the check was in fact real.
There's no question in my man, if he'd been white, this would never happen.
5 Investigate showed the video to a community leader.
Are you seeing that okay?
I am.
The founder of a nationally recognized implicit bias training program for police.
But this is Minnesota. This is not who we are.
And University of Minnesota professor Samuel Myers Jr. In 2015, he authored this study of discriminatory practices at banks in the Twin Cities, and he's focused on racial disparities in financial transactions for 35 years.
I wish I could say that this was an apparition. I wish we could say that this was an outlier, but it happens a lot.
Myers, who is deaf,
So this is it here.
watched the body camera video with us over Zoom with the assistance of captioning.
We as Black people are aware that these things happen at banks, at grocery stores, at supermarkets. This is a classic example of instances where things escalated beyond what they needed to escalate to.
Okay, Joe, let's get these cuffs off.
But Morrow's ordeal did not end when the handcuffs came off.
Joe, can I talk to you, man to man, real quick?
For more than 10 minutes, Morrow remained in this office.
They're making fake checks with that logo on it, right?
Sergeant Pletcher did most of the talking.
So what the branch manager has to do is call and make sure it's a good check. I need you to stay calm for that, okay? Because when you start acting like this, it makes you look even guilty.
No, not guilty.
No, I know. I'm saying, but when you start getting upset and irate, it makes you look guilty.
Well, you're acting guilty. And so the question is, what is acting guilty? Tell me, what is acting guilty? I'm sorry, but this is who I am. You blame me here for creating the racism that he feels.
Don't do anything stupid.
It was another part of this exchange
Are you kidding?
that struck a nerve with Tyrone Terrell.
So play it calm, play it cool, and wait for you to be validated. Okay?
Oh my God.
The former director of the St. Paul Department of Human Rights and the president of the African American Leadership Council says the sergeant's choice of words matters.
Wait to be validated. That's 450 years of history of slavery. Do we got to still wait for white America to validate us? Come on.
Columbia Heights police declined our request for an interview, but in a statement, Chief Lenny Austin said his department reviewed the incident and found the officers' actions were reasonable and they conducted themselves professionally.
And if you feel it's a racist thing, okay, handle it different.
Sergeant Pletcher wouldn't go on the record with us, but still sent us links to network news programs.
If I'm not on the same side as my community, then I am failing them and I am failing this badge.
He was praised on national TV for how he handled a call involving a black health inspector 2 days after the death of George Floyd.
I think we need more police officers to speak up.
But Pletcher is not talking about this video that few have seen until now.
There are going to be plenty of people, I imagine,
who will say, this officer acted admirably. He spoke calmly. He told him to calm down.
Plenty of white people. I'm looking through the lens of a black man who dealt with too many of these cases.
Was the flinching, so-called flinching, visible in the video?
Well, I'll take you back to it. Lori Friedel is a professor at the University of South Florida and the founder of the Fair and Impartial Policing Training Program.
I did not discern anything in the video that showed Mr. Morrow as being threatening. Maybe they saw things that I did not see, or maybe this could be related to one of the implicit associations that's well documented in the research. And that research shows that many of us see more threat in people of color.
Friedel commended the sergeant for doing what she called a debrief with Morrow and advising him that he could file a complaint against the bank.
This is very important in policing. You know, when you've had an interaction, sometimes it can be very tension reducing to sit down with the person and say, okay, this is what was going on.
But that tension still apparent a year later.
No, I'm a little nervous with the cameras, but yeah.
When Morrow sat down with us for this interview. By that time, his lawyer had sent 2 letters to U.S. Bank demanding a settlement and an explanation.
They've never taken any accountability. They've never truly apologized to Mr. Morrow.
In October, U.S. Bank declined our request to interview manager Asquith or anyone else with the bank, and instead sent us this statement saying U.S. Bank is committed to fairness toward everyone we serve regardless of race, adding, we dispute the facts as they're being portrayed to you. 2 weeks later, the bank quietly reached an undisclosed settlement, meaning no one with U.S. Bank or Morrow can ever talk about what happened here again.
Hey, Joe, man. I'm sorry you had to go through this, man.
Any additional apology, now confidential.
Keep working hard.
Again, what's almost lost in all of this is that Joe Morrow was already a customer with U.S. Bank, says he had an account there. We reached back out to U.S. Bank one more time, and last week a spokesperson added that the bank's own internal investigation found nothing to indicate that Morrow's race was a factor in the service he received. Of course, as you heard, lawyers, experts, and advocates are not convinced. They say this is part of what's been called banking while black. And in fact, in the last year, more people have been sharing their stories, Kevin. We'll hear from some of them tomorrow and look at what's being done about this.
Everybody turn your mics back on because we're about to get deep into this. So in accordance to the video, I mean, you guys tell me, what you see wrong with this video? What do you think could be some contributing factors as to why this person endured banking while black? Timmy, we're gonna go to you first. Can you hear us? Timmy?
Yeah.
So again, what do you think are some contributing factors as to why this person endured this spanking while black? Based on the video.
It's what Kiana said. You ain't supposed to, like, black people can't have money. Like, they don't, you done got some type of stereotyping that blacks are lazy. They don't want to work. They rather sell drugs and rob people than work. So when they see somebody that got money in the bank and he must have stolen it. He must did something. He must be writing checks or something. You know, like you can't be legit, get a job and work like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well said, well said. Patsy, what do you think some contributing factors are based upon this video? What contribute to this Mr. Joe Morrow's experience? Patsy, are you still with us?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't take the mic off. I thought I had it off.
No worries.
I think it might be because like probably he went in there and it was closer to his house, but he might not be in that particular branch all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not familiar with him, but still that doesn't excuse them from treating him wrongly. They could have, like, instead of calling the police, they I feel like they should have called the company to verify the check and all this stuff, and or ask them like, well, do you have the pay stub to this check and blah blah blah. You know, it's like it should have been other stuff they did beforehand instead of making like he got a fake check.
Who the fuck is this?
You know, it's like crazy.
Oh, they hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, we can hear you. Welcome to the show. y'all can join in afterwards. Just mute your mic while y'all have that sidebar conversation. Go ahead, Patsy.
Yeah, so like not everybody comes in with a fake check. There's a process you could rule out somebody having a fake check. You know, and then if you realize they do have a fake check, that's when you call 911 and call the popo. No.
All right, well said. All right, so again, guys, if you're joining us tonight, our topic is banking while black, and the question to the panel right now, based upon the video that we just watched, what do you think are some contributing factors why this man, Mr. Joe Morrow, had to endure this banking while black experience? Gregory, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take a stab at it.
I think it all was just really racial discrimination. Like Patsy was just saying, it's a code that they were supposed to do, and clearly on the body cam footage, it shows you that he didn't do it until after the guy was in handcuffs. And then they made it seem, I don't know who that lady that was talking. When she was talking, she made it seem like I didn't see no, I thought he was aggressive from the video footage. What are you talking about? These people are trying to accuse me of trying to steal from this bank, basically. And it's supposed to be, imagine it being your first day getting this paycheck from your job. And this is the first day I don't work 2 weeks, and I had to wait 2 weeks to get my, or however long it is, 3 weeks. And now I got my paycheck, and now I'm about to get arrested because I'm black in a bank. That's crazy.
Okay. Robert, you want to answer that question? The question is, what do you think are some contributing factors to this man's experience banking while black? You guys.
And also, he told him, you got your hands on my desk, like, don't put your filthy hands on my desk type stuff. Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna go to Bird next. Bird. Bird, can you hear us? Got turn your mic on.
Go ahead.
All right. So
say that again.
What do you think were the contributing factors to Joe Morrow's experience? Why was he treated this way? Why did he endure this banking while black experience based upon the video?
Because it's the norm. I mean, it's the norm of what's happening out there. You know, you come in with a check, you work hard, they look at you funny because but there is a lot of fraudulent stuff, and unfortunately, that is a contributing factor to what's going on out there. But every person isn't the same person, so everybody should be treated on a as person basis. So if they're basing it on what other conspiracies happen through them and they've been ripped off plenty of times, then that's what they're gonna feel like. So it is unfortunate, but it definitely had plenty to do with race.
Okay, well said. Kiana?
Yeah.
All right, same question. What do you think were some contributing factors as it relates to that video? Why did he experience that?
Racism.
By the way,
Yeah,
okay.
right off the bat, that was racism. They were giving him gaslighting words like don't flinch, don't whatever. Like, who are you talking to? You're trying to
Stay calm until you been whatever they said approved.
yeah,
Validated.
being validated. So basically,
or you
it,
people.
yes, oh that yeah, you people stuff. So it was a lot of gaslighting words that were used, and definitely racism played a factor. And every bank has a protocol. Nobody did their protocol. So therefore it was racism right off the bat.
Off the bat. And the sad thing is he talked about you people coming in here always trying to pass bad checks. It's the white minority that get away with passing bad checks.
Yes, because they don't get profiled.
That's right.
Okay, Kiana, was you finished?
Yeah, basically, I mean, the video, and again, a person of non-color would hear those words and think that those were nothing. Those were trigger words. Those were know your place, don't do anything suspicious, even though you're already suspicious. And again, they didn't do their due diligence, because there is a process when you work in the bank and when you're dealing with money of what you're supposed to do, and none of that was followed.
I want to piggyback on what you just said about the people that was of non-color, that they would not see that would be triggers or something to and make you to irritate you. I think that if you switch the roles and they were being questioned as such, I think that they too would be irate. Take the color out the equation. I think that white people or anybody else would be irate upon being asked and told to do these certain things. We're gonna go to Tanya. I'm gonna get you because you chimed in, but same thing. I want to get some more from you regarding the video. How'd you feel about that? What did you think he did anything to warrant that type of behavior response?
No, he just went in there to try to cash his check. That when he walked in the bank, because it wasn't a normal bank for him, it was by the job, I think. It wasn't where he normally would go to cash his check. It was closer to his job. And so the bank had to be familiar with the check. Because if it was closer to his job, 9 times out of 10, the job banks with that bank.
Well, let's not miss a valuable point. They said he had a bank account there. So he has a bank account with that.
Yeah, but
bank.
I don't think that was his branch.
But either way, if it wasn't your branch, you still have an account with that bank, with that brand. So
yeah.
branch
Clearly he was profiled and he never checked the system
because
for this guy.
he's already all you had to do was run his name upon getting the check, and you would have saw that he should have been treated like a valued customer because he's banked with your establishment, your bank as a whole, not just that branch.
Yeah, but that happens a lot. That happens a lot. It depends on what area you go into. Like you get profiled. They're just gonna do it.
And that's the problem.
So I have a question because I didn't see the video, but I wanted to know, did they say his check was bad?
Yes.
No, they just said he had a fraudulent
They
check.
They didn't check the bag until after he was. I mean, they didn't check the
Actually, they did say his check was wrong. They said it was a fraudulent check. So that's as wrong as he did.
But he never checked it until after to
confirm
it. He never typed the numbers.
Her question was, did they say his check was bad? They did say it. They said it was fraudulent. So that is equivalent to bad.
Because I used to work with checks and run them through the system, once you run that check through the system, you know, the check reader, and everywhere that you go, stores, bank, they have a check reader. If the check was bad, a code would come up. And then you call wherever you're supposed to call to verify that this check was good or not. So if they didn't do any of that, they was just basing all of that off of who he was.
Looks. Yeah.
That's
And
exactly
look.
what happened, Auntie. He never put it through the system.
All right, let's give Sean a chance to answer that question. Same question, Sean.
What was the question again? Sorry.
So basically, it was what did Mr. Morrow do to bring about that type of behavior? What do you think some contributing factors are, according to the video, if any or none?
He lives in the state of Mississippi. And the branch that he went into was the branch that was closest to his home, to where he lived. And I guess wherever it is that he lives, according to how this bank manager is responding, that a lot of his neighbors who may work at UNIF, he says that, you know, people come in there with supposedly fraudulent checks with their letterhead stamped on them all the time. Now, like everybody else said, he could have took care of that or verified all of that had he made a phone call. But because either he's just that prejudiced or his statements are accurate to where he has had a lot of fraudulent checks come through there, he didn't want to go through the process and just figured he'll cut out the middleman and just call the law. And as far as, like I said, being put in handcuffs, he just lives in the state of Mississippi, and that may be somebody outside that loves Mississippi may say, well, then you just being prejudiced towards us. That's just the history that I know of Mississippi.
Okay, so again, if you're just joining us, tonight's topic is banking while black, and we just watched a video where a black man was profiled while trying to cash his check. The check was indeed valid. He was told by the banking management that his check was fraudulent, and you people, meaning people of color, always come here and try to pass off these fraudulent checks. So, translation, we're going to make an example out of you, and the buck stops here. No pun intended. Well, yes, all pun intended, because they wasn't planning on giving him any bucks. So, all right. So again, let's talk about that a little more. You just spotlighted something, and they said something about the handcuffs. Now,
where'd you catch it?
You need to mute your phone, please.
Mute your phone.
Oh, you saw him going through that way? I would say. I put a couple traps down, like one right here, so that's one down over there. If you seen him go that way, he's probably coming. That's his path. Maybe you could slide that bin over enough to fit that for him to go. You know what I mean?
Bird.
I had them experiment. Yeah.
Mute, baby.
I'm sorry.
All right, so here we go. Sorry about that, guys. This is live, so anything can happen. So let's talk about the handcuffs. Far too often, we are placed in handcuffs, meaning people of color, and in this situation, men of color, before you're even found to be guilty of alleged crime or what you're being accused of. So when you saw him, he was chilling. He was calm. He was everything that they said he wasn't. Now, you embarrassed him as well. You called him out in front of other customers and stuff like that. So again, I feel like when people do stuff like that, it's not enough for them to feel that way about you. It's like, hey, everybody else, this is how I feel. Do you agree with me? So now you're being judged by
everybody.
That's right. And just so I'm not the only one that is saying this, let me involve others. So you can't say I'm being I'm discriminating against you, because there's more than just me that feels that way. And the fact that you put him in handcuffs, now that makes everybody look at him. Now he lives in this neighborhood. So everybody, let's say someone else, oh, what did Joe did? Oh, he must have did something. What did he try to rob the bank? So right now, everybody has this formed opinion about you. Now, now they checked, according to the video, they did check the to see if the check was real after they put him in handcuffs and stuff like that. I don't know, is it just me, or do you think they should have did that before calling the police?
That was exactly my point earlier of what I was saying.
Yeah, that's the protocol.
So, just to call the
employee,
the company, do whatever, verify the check, all the stuff that most banks and everybody would normally do, regardless of your race or who you are. Just do your job, and if you notice it's not up to par, then you call the police.
Now, guys,
that's it, plain and simple.
Feel free to jump in. I'm not gonna call your name in this portion. Anybody, I mean, how you felt about the whole handcuff situation and them calling the cops on him before determining if the check was real or not?
That was ridiculous. Total. It was meant to try to. He was already humiliated. What you saying that his check was bad. It wasn't real, but he was still being, calm.
See, again,
he wasn't being aggressive. He didn't get upset until the man asked the officers to take him into another room because he was touching his desk. That's when he jumped up and said, "What? What do you mean?"
And again, I think that is to antagonize him, try to make him become irate.
Be aggressive. Yeah,
yes.
To try to make him be aggressive.
Because we are perceived as a threat no matter what. He could have came in there in a wheelchair and on oxygen. And he still would have been perceived as a threat, depending on who the individual was and their biases. That's my point. But
it was very unprofessional, because if you did your job the right way, we would have never got to the point where I'm sitting around the sergeant of the police department.
Yeah,
telling me to calm down.
Right.
Okay, so before we go to the next video, how did you guys feel about him being told, basically, watch what you say. You don't want to say that stupid because you'll be arrested. Basically.
Right, they were basically calling him stupid, period. And ignorant. That's how I feel,
Just the culture of the police with the Black and brown community. It's key. It's their way of keeping people in check and in control.
The sad thing about it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Sean.
They say to keep them in control, and it's almost like I like the word that Kiana used, gaslighting. It's almost that warning sign of don't do anything stupid because I have the right to do whatever.
Yeah.
What I also feel is a taunt. Go ahead, Tanya.
No, I was just gonna say that it's not just in policing, it's while driving, while shopping, while eating.
Yeah, it's
everything.
It's a problem. So, and I'll just say this, for for that policing department, that style of policing, period. Because it don't matter if it's Mississippi or other places. When you perceive men of color as a threat and you're already preconditioned to think we are savages, we animals, we wild beasts, and we are highly excitable and we're violent. That is your first, it seems like to me, that's y'all's defense mechanism to put us in chains. Because it just seems like that's when you see the people that are trying to put us in chains, that's when those individuals seem to be more comfortable. When we experience discomfort, they seem to be relaxed. Now they're calm. But that's the pattern that I'm seeing. And it didn't go over my head when they made reference to this man's merit, his accolades. They praised the police officer on how
Yeah, they definitely got him back for helping that black guy.
a day after George Floyd's murder. Okay, now I'll give you credit where credit's due, but I'm not patting anybody on the back for doing your job. That's what you're supposed to do. You ain't supposed to just do that the day after something wrong happened. That should be your daily approach. But Gregory, let's go to another video. You can pick one. Make sure it's not the last one.
Can I also add something that I think about the video? Is if he was of any type of guilty conscience, who sits in an office with their hands behind their head like, oh, nothing? So again, he was profiled from the moment he walked in, especially with a $900 check, because no black man's supposed to have that kind of money, even though that ain't no money. And no one did their real job.
Okay. Greg, if anybody else wants to speak before we go to the next video.
Back in 2021.
I said, where is my money? I said, all I want is my money. Where is it?
And a grandma recounting the moments she says she was arrested. She demanded to know where her $600 went after depositing it in an ATM. Well, tonight she has filed a lawsuit against Mid-Florida Credit Union. She says she was handcuffed, taken out of that bank by officers. Glad you're with us tonight. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Lisa Bell. Linda Stevens says this all unfolded back in 2021 at a bank in Polk County. News 6 investigator Lewis Bolden was at today's press conference in downtown Orlando. And Lewis, she says her nose was fractured and she was roughed up while in custody.
That's right, Lisa, she does. Stevens says she banked with the same credit union for nearly 50 years. They say all she wanted was the money she tried to deposit into her account. Instead of getting her money, she got arrested and thrown in jail. They say because she's black.
Miss Stevens is a black grandmother who was a victim of banking while black.
Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump stands outside the Orange County Courthouse after filing a racial discrimination lawsuit on behalf of 70-year-old Linda Stevens.
We have to fight racism and discrimination wherever it rears its ugly head.
In April of 2021, Stevens says she deposited $600 into the ATM at Mid-Florida Credit Union in Bartow, Florida. The next morning, she says she checked her account and the money had not posted. The retired teacher and assistant principal in Polk County Schools says she immediately went to the bank with her receipt. She says she was told the ATM was broken.
I waited all day and checking my account online. There was nothing in my account that indicated they had placed that money, credited my money to my account.
The next day, Stevens says she went back to the bank demanding her money because she needed to pay her mortgage. According to the arrest report, Stevens caused a disturbance and the tellers called police, who ended up arresting her and taking her to jail. The grandmother says she spent the night in jail and the state attorney's office dropped the criminal charges. Mr. Crump, can you explain to people why you believe this is about race If the allegations are true, why wouldn't this just be a terrible case of customer service?
You know, Lewis, that's the one thing we always grapple with.
Crump says Stevens' case mirrors others around the country.
Every time on these cases, it turns out they say, we were wrong. We apologize to the black customer. That's why we believe that banking while black is real. And we don't believe Miss Linda Stevens would have had the police called on her if she were a white woman.
While in custody, Stevens was thrown face first into a police car. Her nose was fractured, and she was stripped naked and transported to the jail annex, according to the lawsuit.
I was just traumatized. I was humiliated. I was dehumanized, all because I wanted my money.
You know, I'm going to go to the ladies first because that happened to a lady. And, you know, this is a great time to plug in observance and in honor of mothers everywhere. May, you know, this we celebrate Mother's Day. Not that you guys need a calendar date to be celebrated. You should be celebrated always, every day, all day. But I'm going to take this time to plug and let you guys know SOS, Support Our Sisters, has a new t-shirt. And it is called She's Such a Effing Lady. Now, in this situation, the reason why I bring it up, because grandma, because who she was such a effing lady, y'all took advantage of her. Because if she wasn't such an effing lady, y'all would have got a different outcome. She didn't go in there, pull her gun out and demand her money back. She asked you guys nicely. She called on the phone. She did a number of things to troubleshoot this problem before going back to the establishment, the banking establishment. And on top of that, y'all said she caused a disturbance. Why? Because she was asking for her money. And then let's take it a step further. Once you guys got her, y'all handcuffed her, threw her into the police car face down. I don't know what that was all about, why y'all was handling her so roughly. And why did y'all strip her? Why was she naked? I don't know, something's a foul here. Kiana, how you feel about that video? You guys turn your mics on.
I'm doing it. It's disgusting. The mere fact that they humiliated that woman, took her and threw her in a police vehicle face forward.
And stripped her naked. God damn.
She was naked at the bank. You do that at the station. And obviously, and I know there were no men there. I mean, there were no female officers there because that's who's supposed to be dealing with the female, a female on a female, not no men. So they did that for their own, you know, nasty minds and to humiliate a black woman. And again, these banks all have a policy. Maybe you don't get your money that day. They hold it a couple of days. You might not get it that same day. You usually can only take the same amount of money you got in your account out. But again, nobody is doing their job. They look that you have so much money in your hand or on a check or whatever. They assume the worst and they're calling the police.
So let me say
money, and I want it now.
Let me say this to you guys, and I want to hear from the ladies first. I'm going to Patsy and then Tanya and any other women that joined us. So what you guys didn't see in the video, because I researched this thoroughly, especially this video, it was also said that she went back to the bank and they was working on the ATM machine. The engineer, the person that was working on the machine, had her her envelope with her money in it, with her name on it, holding it in his hand. And she asked him, could he just give her the money and she can go in there and have the transaction with the teller. And I don't know, perhaps that's what led to the so-called disturbance, because she asked that person to do that. I mean, they didn't tell you what happened in that video that we just watched pertaining to
you asking for money.
Mm-hmm.
I always want to fight you on your money. That's why I say it's my money and I want it down.
Mm-hmm.
Called JG Whitmer.
Patsy, how do you feel about that video?
Yeah, my thing is like when the lady put her money in that ATM, obviously it was working when she deposited the money in that particular ATM at that given time. Maybe it broke down in between the deposit and the time that they opened up in the morning. I don't know. But, they could have said, like, hold on, we got somebody working on the ATM, blah, 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 blah. Let me check with them and see what the deal is with what was already in the machine before it broke. That's how I feel like they should have handled it, instead of like giving her a highway to go, calling the police, and then she had all this other drama behind the police with them mishandling her in the police car and all this stuff. But my thinking is like, they usually, if they gonna take you to the jailhouse, that's if they're gonna strip search you, it's usually done at the police station, not in no daggone bank or public space.
This is crazy.
Yeah. So it was mess.
Okay. Well
Yeah.
said. Tanya, you're up.
It was a mess. It was a mess. And usually when you go to the bank and put your deposit through the ATM, if anything's wrong with the ATM, there's somebody in the bank that's working with it. And if there's a technician, there's somebody in the bank that's standing with the technician to make sure that the stuff is getting done.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So if she came back for her money and he was there working on it, the person in the bank should have been with him while he was working on it. If she asked for her money to go inside to take care of with the teller, there shouldn't have been no problem.
Very, 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 very true. All right, Timmy, how you felt about that video?
It was terrible. It always make me say this is why I hate banks. Because they like to take your money in, but you can't get your money out, or they give you a hard time taking your money out of your money out their bank. Like they be kidnapping or strong arming your money and whatnot.
Okay. Well said. Sean?
Yeah, it was I don't know. I'm gonna play the origin of where they're located, Polk County, Florida.
Is
That's
that
a racist.
Is that Polk County or Polk County? What's the pronunciation?
Polk, Polk.
So they like poking at people of color. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, that's the nature down there, especially in order for, because I mean it escalated from the bank. The story gets disgusting, not even so much from the bank, just what happened with the police.
Yes.
You know, like the banking, like and I could be wrong, but to me she looks like a feisty grandmother. So she probably came in there with some choice words looking for her money. Which probably caused them to call the cops. But for them to react the way that they did, she might have got a little feisty with them as well.
So So let's be fair about this, right? Grandma went in there, she deposited via the what you call it, teller machine, the ATM, and she said, she was very clear about this, she had to pay her mortgage. Now, based upon all the stuff that's going on with banking and your mortgage, she wanted to make sure her banking, her transaction went through and that there was no problems because she didn't want to come up late, whereas her mortgage was concerned. So if she was upset about that, she had the right to be, because again, based upon past experiences, we all know about mortgages in the banks. They will foreclose, shut down on your house at a drop of a dime. And if you a person of color, it's even quicker.
So did she put it in a machine or she gave it to the teller?
She put it in the machine. She put it in the machine.
Okay, so my thing with that, with everybody's being unprofessional. Instead of them telling her that it might take a couple of days for your check to deposit in the machine.
No, did she put a check or cash? Because cash is automatically credited. It doesn't take no couple of days.
If she put cash, then that doesn't make any sense. Something's wrong with y'all system. I need my money.
That's why she was telling her, give him back her money, and she'll just do it via the teller, because it was cash. It wasn't a check. But okay, Robbie, I'll give you a chance to answer that question. Are you still with us?
Yeah, mute.
Okay, so I don't know what's going on with his phone, but he's experiencing technical difficulties. Did I get everybody else a chance? Did anybody else want to answer?
Yeah.
Burr still with us?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Burr, how do you feel about that video?
I just, if that's the story, right? There's two sides. She had a side, they got a side. I mean, the way they processed that information to her could have been delivered differently. And like Tanya said, cash deposits are posted immediately. You get a receipt and it would tell you what your balance is. So I don't know if none of that happened. Again, I think there's a lot more to the story than just what's being reported from her. But there's other factors, and the way she was treated and stripped naked and thrown in a car, and for something like that, I don't believe this old woman presented that much of a risk physically to anyone. Maybe she might have, like Sean said, gave some choice words that rubbed people the wrong way. But again, there's policies that were avoided. There was policies, by the bank, by the police, by, everybody involved. And I just think, we have to come together better. And, even just being black and in banking, we don't have any black-owned banks that people can go to and feel comfortable with. They don't want that. There hasn't been anything like that since probably the 70s. But I don't know any black one. I even heard of any black.
There used to be one down Dudley.
We gotta drain the swamp of these racist institutes. That's what's going on.
Here's what we need to realize is our money is powerful. I hope this lady closed her account. I hope everybody that had an issue with people closed these accounts and told everybody they know to close these accounts. You can make change. You take your black money that's worth a lot. A lot of people work. A lot of black money is powerful. We can shut down any store in our community. We can shut down any store that we're used to shopping to. Our money means a lot, and I don't think we've taken a stand yet to prove that our money, black money, is powerful. Millionaires, athletes are millionaires and they're black. Our money is huge and our money is powerful, and we just don't take that and understand that these banks need us. These banks take our money and loan it out to people at a higher interest rate than they would pay us to keep our money in the bank. And you don't need an ID, you don't need no identification deposit, cash, check, nothing. But you damn sure better have two forms of ID to take some money up.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't tax me to take my money. You don't care who I am when you take my money, but you damn sure gonna make sure you ain't letting that dollar go without 1, 2 IDs. And guess what? Now they want a mother effing fingerprint.
Ooh. And what bank is this so I don't go there?
Bank of America was one of them that
Never
you
be
had.
a customer.
So if you don't have an account in their bank, they want your fingerprint. I said, you a damn liar. You ain't getting my fingerprint. What if I'm wanted? Where does my print go? You going in the database and you setting me up? Matter of fact, let's close my account.
Yeah, you ain't getting my fingerprints for no account that I have with you.
Bank of America.
That's the thing before they try to chip everybody.
And so what's the next thing? You want a pint of blood too? Y'all can't have nothing. You got my money. That's as far as we going. All right, Gregory, let's see the next video. Guys, mute your phones during the video, please.
Citizen Bank does it too.
Super happy and elated.
Dr. Malika Mitchell Stewart was overjoyed when, after more than a decade of school and giving birth to her second child late last year, she officially became a doctor. With that title came a new job and a more than $16,000 signing bonus.
It's like a aha moment, like I finally made it. I finally am successful.
This was your moment.
It was my moment.
And it was
taken away.
Taken away by Chase Bank, according to Mitchell Stewart, when they refused to cash her check. She's now suing for $1 million, alleging discrimination, claiming they refused her services because she's a black woman. Accusations that Chase tells NBC News are, quote, completely false.
If I would have came in as a white male with that same check, I'm sure they would have verified it, deposited it, and opened an account for them that day.
Mitchell Stewart says she visited a Chase Bank near Houston in December to open an account and cash her check.
And they looked at the check, and then they kind of looked back at me, and then that's when they started asking me all these questions about like what I did for a living, who gave me this check, what company is this, how old I was.
After answering those questions and even showing her business card, Mitchell Stewart alleges the bank refused to serve her, claiming the check was fraudulent. She says without ever trying to contact the check's issuer or offering an alternative, like putting a hold on the check until the funds cleared.
I've worked so hard, and to be accused of being a criminal, it hurt my heart.
Chase telling NBC News in a statement, while we fell short on delivering a great customer experience, our employee was concerned that she might be a victim of a scam and offered a safer alternative, such as ACH deposit, to get immediate access to her funds. At no point did they suggest that she was engaged in criminal activity or question the fact that she is a physician. Over the years, there have been many reports detailing similar experiences of black people at America's largest banks. Last year, U.S. Bank settled a lawsuit after calling police on a black man who was placed in handcuffs after trying to cash his $900 paycheck.
He said, you people are always coming in here with fake checks.
Who do you think he meant?
Black people.
We're sorry for where we failed, Mr. Murrow, and accept full responsibility, U.S. Bank told NBC News in a statement, adding that it's strengthening policies to prevent this from happening again. Hashtag banking while black, now a rallying cry on social media.
How widespread is the issue of racism and discrimination in banking?
We've had hundreds of calls.
Dallas-based civil rights attorney Justin Moore is representing Dr. Mitchell Stewart. He says these incidents can be hard to track because many people don't report them, even when police are called.
The fact that you have a black doctor who can access basic financial services, that has long-standing ramifications. Banks, bank tellers, they have discretion to use their prejudice and weaponize it to prevent black folks and people that are minorities from accessing these services.
The Civil Rights Act of 1964 outlawed discrimination in some public places, but doesn't cover banks, making discrimination cases hard to win. In fact, it's legal for banks to treat customers differently as long as they receive services in the end. But in the wake of George Floyd's murder, banks pledged billions towards racial equity, Chase making a $30 billion commitment.
At J.P. Morgan Chase, a key goal is to help break down systemic barriers that have created profound disparities.
This lawsuit, some advocates say, a reminder that banks are still falling short.
No more performative allyship. We need actual, real, tangible resources, and we need unfettered access to those resources.
No one should be allowed to just say, I feel uncomfortable and refuse service. That's not right.
All right, Priscilla Thompson joins us now live from Houston. So, Priscilla, you highlight in your story here that this is not an isolated incident, at least this allegation. It's happened to several people all across the country. The part I'm confused about is, what is Chase trying to say about the scam? It seems like they were trying to distract from what Dr. Mitchell was actually going through inside that bank.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're obviously acknowledging that she did not have a positive experience there, but what they seem to be suggesting is that not that Dr. Mitchell was a criminal or trying to put on any sort of scam, but that perhaps she received this check and it was unclear sort of where it came from or what the intent of the person who sent it. And that is what they were questioning, not Dr. Mitchell or her role as a physician or the fact that she might be receiving a check of this size. And that is why Chase is saying that they suggested that she ask her employer to offer a direct deposit of the check that would electronically go straight into an account. But of course, the other issue here is that Dr. Mitchell Stewart says that she wasn't even allowed to open an account. And so how would she have done that if she wasn't able to open an account on that day?
Okay, guys, if you're just joining us, tonight we are discussing banking while black. Josie, thank you for joining us. We're going to go to you first. How do you feel about the young doctor's experience? She accomplished a great accolade. You know, she became a doctor. God bless you, Miss. We need more of us. You know, doing things like that in positions like that. So how you feel? How'd you feel?
I mean, first off, I'm gonna give her credit where it's due. Congratulations, God bless. But I don't want to take away from it just being just a regular citizen. You know what I mean? Of color. You know, everyone works hard for their money. And again, I'm not taking away from her occupation and her trials and tribulations leading to her success. I'm saying that it's just factual. I mean, you shouldn't be discriminating in that sense. I just felt like that's a bad experience that she had to go through. Just the fact that they came out with the dustpan, the broom, the vacuum cleaner, the Lysol. It was like, no, let's stay focused. That's what happens. We always shift the focus. Let's stay focused on what she's going through. Not I guess that we lose focus because we start looking at the whole picture, right? But the picture wouldn't even been started to be painted if it didn't have to do with what she was experiencing. So I feel like that was a bad look on their behalf. And, you know, I personally went through something with the bank and I just feel like it's crazy. That's crazy.
You care to share?
I mean, I already shared with the podcast when.
So you can refresh us for the new viewers, the people who didn't see it or hear the story before. You can be brief. We can sum it up.
All right. Well, I don't want to take up too much of everyone's time, but yeah, I was coming in one way and it was the drive through. You came in through the bank, you know, the parking lot. And I came in where I guess it was a do not enter sign, but it was too late for me to back out. It was a two-way street. It was it was a two-way street and it was a small street. So I proceeded to go forward. Just so happened that a car was like, beep, beep, you can't come through here like that. And I was like, okay, well, I can't back out. Same thing I just said. So she proceeded to block me and tell me I wasn't going forward. So I proceeded to go around her and park my car because I was trying to go into the bank. She proceeded to back her car up and put it in the park and told me that I wasn't going in the bank because she was the assistant manager to the bank. And I told her, well, if you're the assistant manager to the bank, then go inside and manage the bank. What does the parking lot got to do with anything? You know, call the police so I can get my ticket. I mean, other than that, I'm sure the police will understand that I didn't see the do not enter sign and we would have moved on. I just felt like it was a bit much. But I proceeded to go into the bank. She proceeded to park her car the right way and come inside the bank following me, telling me I wasn't doing my banking. And I did my banking anyway. And when I was finished doing my bank, she was telling me not to come back there no more. And I told her I will come back because I'm a customer to the bank and this is where my checks go. And I have money in your bank. And she was like, and that was pretty much it. And it was like they was going to call the cops if I didn't leave. So I proceeded to leave. Lo and behold, when I left, they called the cops. So when the cops came, they gave them a whole story that I said I was going to kill them and all of this and that. Long story short, the detective showed up at my house maybe like a week later You know, I'm thinking this is over, done with, let bygones be bygones. And,
Right.
the detectives came and was like, pretty much tell her that she needs to turn herself in and all of this other stuff. I arrived there. It was truly like the first 48. Got into the questioning room and it was a good cop and a bad cop. And it just so happened that the good cop was the Caucasian cop and the bad cop was the African American cop. And the Caucasian cop told me, I figured it was something like this. I thought it was something small and I thought it was something that they blew into bigger than what it was. So I tell you what, just don't go back to the bank, you know, and whatever. But they closed my accounts. I remember it was right before Christmas. They closed my accounts. They froze it. And I was trying to go shopping and I couldn't go shopping. I couldn't do anything. It was crazy. Um, Later on, maybe like when the banks opened back up, I probably got like a check sent to me or something like that. But I just felt like I was wrong, and I think that if I had more time on my hands, a little bit more resources, probably if I would have pursued it, but for me, I just felt like, is that something I want to drag myself through? But maybe it should have been something that I dragged myself through because it still bothers me. Even to
Yes.
when I was listening to this story, I'm like, damn, they just do whatever. But quiet as kept, long, long, long time after I received a check for like 2,500, like, and I kept saying, why is the Bank of America sending me money? I don't even
They
have an account
pay-
with them. They
they
shut
was
it
paying
down.
you off.
Hush
No,
money.
they shut my account down and they paid me out what was in my account. But that's what I felt like, Tanya. I felt like, I mean, if that was Tanya, I felt like, yeah, these people, what is this? Some type of, because I asked the bank, I said, what is this for? They was like, it was government something. And I'm like, the government's just giving me $2,500 for nothing. That doesn't sound right. So, I don't know, but that was my story with the bank, and yeah, I feel like again, doesn't have to be that you're a lawyer, a doctor, a cop, or anything like that. You could just be a regular person trying, you're working a nine to
You
five.
experience banking while black.
That's just
Mhm.
crazy. It's crazy.
Well, thank you for sharing. Sharon's Karen. Tanya, how do you feel about the video?
How did I feel about the video? I feel like they was just racially profiling her. It doesn't, like, it could be anybody, like Joseph said. We don't look at 3 videos, and it was a young man that was a hard working man, a $900 check, and then we had an elderly woman with a $600 check. Then we had a young woman that graduated, got her doctorate, got a new job with a $16,000 check. It doesn't matter what the amount of the check is. It's the color of the skin.
Mm. Wow, that's crazy. Patsy?
Yeah, that's a hot mess. It's like just because she's a black woman and just being a woman alone, you should be treating women, period, with respect, regardless of the color of your skin, and treating people with respect across the board, no matter what. It's like how my mother always said, like, you treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yes, yes.
You know, if you were coming into a bank and you didn't work there, how would you expect the teller or the bank manager to treat you while you're doing your bank business? That's how you conduct yourself, regardless.
Well,
That's how I feel.
well said, well said. Kiana, Duchess, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Um, this is no fault of hers. My mind is like, well, why you didn't have a bank account at all before that? But I don't know. She was treated definitely incorrectly. They didn't offer her any solutions. And the Chase's response was kind of like, look at this hand while we do something over there. Like their response had nothing to do with what her being a doctor, her being black. Yes, those were the factors, but the way she was treated was not addressed in their response. So it was ridiculous. And I'm glad that she has a lawsuit going forward, and she should do her business and banking with someone else or a credit union who will treat her the way she needs to be treated.
Yeah, because y'all just lost out on a potential customer because if I'm correct, the reason
Yep,
why
she probably could have did her mortgage through them,
exactly
opened if she was later on down the line
good
establishing her
business,
own
A
practice.
practice.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you lost out on some serious
good
business.
good business.
Good for you. Suck it.
It started off with her color. I mean, and the way that they handled it by trying to act like they was trying to help her by saying have the employer send it through automatic transfer. She couldn't even get an account. So
Yes,
that was
so
just
that like I said, that was that smoke and mirror. Look at this
yeah.
hand while we're talking about this. It was the two didn't equate. She didn't even have an account with them. So how would they do an electronic deposit?
Yeah.
You sound dumb. You're a bank. You don't even know how to
Right.
process
Trying to bring out
banking.
that broom and dustpan. I'm telling you, they be trying to handle you, and lo and behold, it's up to us if we fall for it. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
So I say to you guys again, just so you know, EmporiumPlus.org is having an extended sale. We recently had a sale from April 1st to May 1st where you buy one item and get the second item half off. We have extended that sale from May 1st to June 1st in honor of all women. So you guys, shout out to SOS, support our sisters. They have a new shirt. I think you guys should all check it out because like most of these women in these videos, the reason why they felt that they can treat them as such is because she was such an effing lady. Because if they was dealing with anything less than a lady, it would have been a different outcome. Let's get the guy's point of view. Gregory, speak on that.
And y'all also have a shirt called The Mother of All Creation.
And where can they find these shirts at, Gregory?
You can find that on EmporiumPlus.org.
Thank you very much. Now tell the people your views, your perspective, how you felt about the video.
I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. This is a system. Now you're talking about JP Morgan and Chase, right? So these people are coming from some type of slave system. So the people that they're hiring are going to most likely be their type of people. You get what I'm saying? So that's exactly what's going on in the bank with this lady at that time. They didn't want to let her open up an account because they're profiling off the rip. What are you doing coming to our banks? You're not our type of people.
Okay. Timmy?
Like the Pretty Woman movie, right? When she walked in there and it was like, that costs such and such and such and such. And she was like, I mean, like, that's just the way they look at us. Like, we're not able to shop there.
Timmy, you want to give us your point of view?
Yeah, all my money. I would took all my money out. I had an incident one time. When I got my retro from Social Security, and I just kept on going back to the thing, but they cashed them at cash. Then they said, "Hey, where you getting all these checks from?" I said, "Don't you see the government segment on there?" You know, they started acting like I was. I said, "You can call Social Security. They're gonna tell you themselves that they sent this money to." And there's no way I can do it now Okay.
And can I ask you a question? Did you have to show any type of ID, picture ID?
Yeah.
And what was and you care to disclose what type of ID you had?
I my mask condition, they said that it worked, so I already had an ID already, a mass ID. So
So
I had that.
so
And
again,
I gave them both of the goddamn IDs.
so again, this check was based upon supplemental income due to disability, and you had an ID that clearly identified you as a person of disability. So again, like I said, black banking ain't just started 2 months ago or a year or two ago. This has been something that's been going on for quite a while now. All right, Sean, let's get your perspective.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate what happened with her. Just all I took from it, they just didn't want to deal with her.
So they didn't want her money?
I'm assuming so. No, or you know.
They assumed she didn't have money.
They was racist, big dog. Just say that.
They assumed she didn't have money.
I was trying to keep from calling out another state.
Oh no, that's not what we do here. We name.
No, you're on point because these are some still heavily racist. Mississippi.
We expose.
Add them to the list. That's Texas.
Yes, we expose people. We got a list now, so we do that here on this platform. If you're guilty of such ills, injustice, we're gonna name you. We just
was
don't.
the suburbs of Texas.
Oh, not the place where everything is big. So I guess the racism is big there too, and profiling.
Oh, come on, man! That whole entire government of Texas got their own. They follow their own rules.
I wonder why.
Follow their own rules.
Bird, you still with us? Okay, we're going to try.
I'm here.
All right, B.
I'm here.
How you feel about that video?
It's almost becoming typical, to be honest. I mean, this is the behavior. I mean, what are you going to do? And again, I'll say what you can do. You don't put your money in these banks. You don't invest in their building a business. You're paying them to be bigger. So again, I can speak. Black money is as powerful as it can be. We just need to know that. These banks, we don't need these banks to deposit our money in cash checks. These banks need our money to invest to make their equity bigger. And when we come together and realize that, we'll be able to make more better statements using smaller banks or not the big chain banks, or somebody get into some black investment and get a black-owned bank where people feel more safe. And just knowing it's black, they'll feel more comfortable putting their money and investing into a black business.
And I'll say this.
Can I add that we had that stuff and they burnt it down and bombed it and all that crazy stuff?
Yep.
Of course, you know why?
Because they don't want you to have that. Like I told you before, I said this several times. The so-called minority will never realize that they are the majority until they realize that they are the true authority. So you have authority because it's strength in numbers, but we always approach each situation where it appears that we are outnumbered. And the reason why, we don't show up until it blows up. That's when people come out there.
That's a T-shirt.
But what I say is, how you come about when the situation, if you be calm,
but they don't show up until we blow up.
What I'm saying
That's true.
Why the hell are you so damn calm? Why ain't you enraged about not getting your money? You being calm. And they're steady trying to provoke you.
Like the guy from the video earlier. That's exactly what happened.
So she had control over that person, that much control over them. that they had to call the police on her just for being calm and whatnot.
You know why they called the cops on her? Because she's such a effing lady. If she wasn't a lady, it would have turned out otherwise. All right, so everybody had a chance to speak on that video for
Can I just touch on what Gregory said?
Yeah.
If I mean not excuse me, not Gregory, Bird. We as Black consumers have $1.8 trillion.
Woo! Thank you for the stats.
If
Amen.
we
That's
were
powerful. It's
if
powerful.
we were to pool our money or take our money and go somewhere else, we would have people on their knees.
What's that? What's that? What was that number again?
1.8 trillion with a T, not billion, $1 trillion.
With a T, a big T. Now wait, what is the deficit of America right now? Isn't that what? How much is that?
That's 30-something trillion.
Mm-hmm.
A big T still.
I'm not taking on their debt, but we as Black people have a power to move mountains if we were able to collectively be together. But you know, there's all types of things that keep us from being in each other's corners.
Mm-hmm.
I support that.
All right, G, we gotta think of 1 or 2 more videos. Let's go to the next one. Matter of fact, this is what I want you to do. I want you to show the last 2 videos back to back, please.
Or involving police.
Team 12. Now to our big story. A Valley credit union is apologizing after a store manager called the police when a Black man tried to deposit a check.
The credit union claims the employee saw red flags, but the man believes he was racially profiled, and that one phone call could have cleared up the situation before involving police.
Team 12's Nyla Charles spoke with diversity experts who say that this man's experience highlights an important lesson for banks throughout the country. Nyla?
Almond Brewer thought his trip to the Pinal County Federal Credit Union would be quick.
Man, that blows my mind, bro. That just blows my mind, man.
The professional basketball player went in to deposit a $3,200 check, but came out a suspect questioned by 5 Apache Junction police officers, initially accused of trying to cash a fake check. Brewer had just sold his boat to a woman he met on Facebook Marketplace. He said he thought cashing the check at the buyer's credit union would be his quickest option. But what happened next still stuns him to this day.
She was like, well, what was the check for? And I said, it was for one of my assets. I buy and sell boats, and I sold them off. And she kind of looked surprised.
No one at the bank would speak to 12 News for this story, but in an emailed statement said their workers saw red flags. An old credit union logo along with a routing and account number that didn't match their members' information. And when they ran a check verification search, the results were inconclusive, meaning it needed further review. And the manager called 911.
We just have somebody trying to cash a fake check with us. It's a fake personal check.
It was just, Black guy, locks in his hair, tattoos, came on a Harley. Let's assume the worst.
What do they look like? He's African American.
Only one officer had body-worn camera on, and he was the last to arrive. So this is the only footage we have from that October day.
How could it be fraud when she wrote it, signed it, and she's a member of this bank?
Then the credit union made another call, one Brewer and diversity experts say should have come first. They contacted their customer, the woman who bought the boat, and she confirmed she wrote the check. By the time police knew about that, they had already been on scene nearly 10 minutes.
Why keep it going like that? Why embarrass somebody like that? Why, make them feel less than a man?
The Pinal County Federal Credit Union told 12 News in a statement in part, "We at Pinal County Federal Credit Union employ a diverse workforce and undergo diversity and inclusion training annually."
He was racially profiled.
Dr. Matthew Whitaker, owner of Diamond Strategies, does diversity training for financial institutions on how to avoid these situations.
That person could have been contacted immediately before anyone called the police. Why escalate that at that point?
For Brewer, the incident has lingering effects.
I haven't been inside the bank since.
The president of the credit union issued an apology in the statement to 12 News, but Brewer says that doesn't go far enough.
I shouldn't have to, overly explain myself that I'm a good person.
Nyla Charles, 12 News.
John Pittman III is a lawyer who also spent 19 years working in the finance industry. He knows the banking business.
And, they verify. They verify if there's an issue.
So the San Diego resident was prepared in early 2020 when he went to a Bank of America branch in Pacific Beach to cash a $12,000 check from an insurance settlement. The payment from the Geico Insurance Company was a B of A check. But just in case, he brought additional paperwork from Geico and 3 forms of identification: a driver's license, passport, and birth certificate. Yet that wasn't enough for the branch's assistant manager.
She came back and then she was telling me that she can't cash it because my name had the 3rd on my identification, but the 3rd wasn't written on the check.
But the suffix "3rd" on Pittman's name was written on the rest of the Geico documents. He suggested the assistant manager contact Geico to confirm his identity.
And she's like, no, we can't. We have no way. Even if we call to verify, we have no way to notate that we verified.
Pittman says he called Geico on his cell phone, put the insurance representative on speakerphone to address the assistant manager's concerns.
And the assistant manager says, well, I don't know who you are. You could be just one of his friends he's calling.
Pittman again asked her to call Geico. She refused to make that call, but said she made another.
Said she's going to talk to the manager. And she comes back and says, we've notified the authorities. So you're trying to steal the money from the real John Pittman.
Pittman says on the advice of the Geico representative, he exited the bank, but was left with an aching thought.
So I'm thinking, this would not have happened if I wasn't a black person. I just cannot see them calling the police on every person that they get a check that doesn't have junior or the 3rd or whatever on it. That just doesn't make sense.
Pittman says the B of A branch manager told him more than a year later that the assistant manager was only pretending to call the police. KPBS tried to interview that B of A branch manager, but he declined. B of A corporate spokesman Bill Hallidan says it is standard industry practice not to cash a check if the recipient name and identification don't precisely match to protect against potential fraud. But is it standard industry practice to accuse a customer of stealing and then threaten to call the police, as Pittman says B of A did with him?
It's unfortunately not uncommon for us to hear stories of racialized and racist behavior in financial institutions.
Hudson Munoz is a research analyst with the Committee for Better Banks, which represents industry workers and consumers.
It is a problem when the first response at any organization is to involve the police rather than to treat the customer as a truthful person, especially, given the materials that this person had to back up the identity.
The term advocates use to describe these situations is banking while black. Black customers have long complained of being confronted with skepticism, hurdles, and calls to police while seeking basic transactions. Ed Golding is executive director of MIT's Golub Center for Finance and Banking. He says race isn't likely the only issue in Pittman's case. The size of the check and the fact that Pittman wasn't a customer were also factors, but he says they don't excuse the assistant manager's alleged actions.
It seems like from the facts of this case, it was a very inappropriate way of saying, go away, we don't want to serve you.
Bank of America ultimately sent a letter to Pittman standing by its policy. However, the letter also stated, quote, "We regret any inconvenience you may have encountered as a result of this matter and apologize for any service provided that did not meet your expectations." But Pittman wanted the bank to apologize specifically for the assistant manager's behavior. He also asked for monetary damages, which the bank refused. He says he still feels demoralized.
It makes you feel 2 inches tall a little bit. It makes you feel targeted.
Amita Sharma, KPBS.
Meeting, calling black button unavailable. Zoom meeting.
Let's review. So basically, what they are telling us based upon these 5 videos, we had one check that was, we're going to do it in order based upon the numbers, the figures. So we had the $600 that led to an issue of a bad banking, black banking. We had a $900 issue that led to bad banking, aka black banking. We had a situation that stemmed from $3,200, which led to bad banking, aka black banking. Then we had a situation with $12,000 that led to bad banking, aka banking while black, I should say. And then the biggest number was $16,000 that led to bad banking, aka banking while black.
$16,000 isn't even a lot of money. That is bad.
Now, let's just say this. That amounts up to $32,700, right? $32,700. That's how much money did you got. Y'all put a price on banking while black in each of these situations. That's what it amounts to, bad banking, because of the person's color of their skin. The people that were in those positions to make that a good experience turned it into a bad experience because they're preconditioned. They was taught to behave a certain way. Their cultural bias. The prejudice is prejudice. It just so happens to be in this situation, it just has to be prejudice based upon race. If you feel like these people are not entitled to any money and stuff like that, because what? That's what you believe. That does not make it so. Because you believe it to be so, does not make it so. Guys, real briefly, because we're past the 9 o'clock hour. I just want to get you guys closing remarks based upon these videos and preferably these last two. We're going to go to Brad. I'm gonna let you finish off. We're gonna go to ladies first. Patsy, then Josie, then Tanya, then Kiana. Go ahead, Patsy.
Well, I feel like, it's sad the way that people do. And like I said at the beginning, considering the neighborhood I do live in, where there's like a lot of different races, but it's a predominantly black neighborhood anyway. So around here, I don't really see that behavior with the bank that I go to. But it's really sad where it happens elsewhere. So yeah, and that's not cool.
Okay, well said. What I say, Tanya? No, Kiana.
You said Josie.
Josie. All right, Josie.
So the last video, crazy, how she pretended to call the cops, and again, the very people we're thinking supposed to protect us, they're using to threaten us with.
Weaponized.
Right. How I feel about the overall experience of the videos. It's crazy. And again, it kind of traumatized me. It triggers me to what happened to me personally. So I think it's sad.
Okay, well said. Kiana?
You told me to go next.
Okay, yep, y'all testing me tonight. Go ahead, Tanya.
Playing match.
I think that I hate this. Not that I hate to say this, but I'm leaning towards the conspiracy theorists on the panel, Gregory, to say that the whole system needs to be brought down, realigned. And I think that the signs of the times is leaning that way, because we've had a shakeup since COVID to show the disparities in housing and medical and school and finances, all around the systematic racism that's going on in these institutions with the police, government. It's all coming down.
You
I
better
just,
preach,
and
my sister. Preach. Say that.
Yes,
especially
ma'am.
especially with the battle over the debt limit situation. So just as I said, when COVID happened, that God was shaking the tree and shaking out the rot. You know how you gotta trim your get the weeds out so that the seeds can grow. So he's getting
Brain
out.
is smart. I ain't gonna quote Trump, but that's right.
You done already did it. Let her finish.
He's getting the weed. You know, he's trimming the hedges so that we can grow. The thorns that was holding us down for so long, he's getting rid of so that we can prosper the way it is supposed to be for everyone, for all his children, not just for us, but for all God's children.
And you know why? You know why she says that, and she knows that because she's such an effing lady. Go ahead, Kiana.
I'm gonna go off of both her and Gregory. First of all, most banking was started off. Most of these banks started off by slavery, profiting off of slavery. So the systems do need to be torn up from the root and gotten rid of. So when we start banking and counting on ourselves, we will be in a better place. But as long as we do have these systems and we continue to bank with them, if we don't go forward and point the finger when we have the fingers pointed at us, it allows the bank to continue to do what they do. They have not done their job. They go straight from, oh, this person should not have this check, to calling the police, weaponizing the police on people. They did not do their due diligence. They did not go through the system that they're supposed to go through the process. They automatically go from, this is a suspect, I am now judge and jury, and I'm going to call the police on them. So until we decide that we are not going to accept this behavior as a whole, it will continue. And if we don't call it out like we see it, Josie, go back to your point and go do something about that. It's not never too late. They'll continue to do it to someone else.
Well said, well said. Y'all dropping jewels, dropping
I
jewels.
agree. I agree.
Minister of Conspiracy doesn't see so much like a conspiracy right now, so go on and speak on it.
Yeah, I agree with all the ladies. This thing needs to be rewritten in all of it. We don't need to be a part of their system, and they don't want us to be a part of their system.
Well said, well said. Mr. Timmy, you're up.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the ladies and Gregory.
Okay, short and brief. Sean, you're up next.
With the panel on this one, it's just a matter of standing your ground, and then we're just gonna deal with banking while black until the banking system itself is all done with. If you haven't heard it before, you heard it first time on here. Give it 5 to 10 years from now, and banking as we know it will be no more.
So this is a prediction.
Oh yeah. Okay. Everything is going to be with how everything is online. Everything is going to be digital. So you won't even have to deal with people in person.
Yeah, but I'm saying you better buy some gold and jewelry because systems go down every day, and what we gonna do without it?
Exactly.
I'm frightened. I'm fearful. So let me make sure before
don't be frightened. Don't invest your money
Exactly.
in those banks. And when this crashes, you're sitting on a shitload of cash. Excuse my language. You're sitting on your own money to make your own decision now. You don't have to rely on that banking system that crashed.
Well,
don't invest in the banks. We invest. Everybody can't. We can't. They'll give you a home for a loan. They'll give you a loan for a car, school, but they will not give you a business loan. So that's one of the biggest kickbacks of black people. They're giving business loans to every other culture that wants to open a business, but they will not give black business owners money to open businesses. So don't invest.
So those
don't invest in these banks.
Don't invest in the banks. All right. I don't know. Say less. Y'all done said it all. I mean, the last thing I'm gonna say is it sounds like Bird said, we don't need to put our money in the bank. Y'all need to go get you a nice.
We don't need to shop at a store. We don't need to put our money in the bank. Anywhere you treat me a certain way that I'm not feeling valued as a customer, you will not get my service.
Yes, say it again, Joseph.
You will not
now
get my
you're
business.
talking.
You will not get a dime of my money. I don't give a shit. Excuse again, how much I need your product. I would rather do it out than invest my money into a business that doesn't treat me like a valued customer, like my money means something.
Now, so you guys go and plant a seed. If you're going to plant a seed, if you're going to make an investment, get yourself a treasure chest and put your money in it. Find yourself a nice place in the backyard.
Dirty sock.
Preferably your
dirty sock like JJ Evans.
Put your money together.
You got to go old school. I mean, I don't know about these mattresses, but you're gonna have to do something because the banks got their plan, so we need a plan of our own. And again,
and I like to say this: just because Joseph said you have a choice to not shop in the store, still take that chance shopping at emporiumplus.org, where you will find the latest fashion. And Envy Forever, Youth Serum, Still a Man, Adopt a Parish Ladies First, SOS Support Our Sisters. There's some new items in the store. Take advantage of the sale, people.
All right. That being said, everybody have a good night. And remember, check out those new shirts by Adapt the Parish Ladies First in honor of all the women, the mother of all creation. That's Adapt the Parish Ladies First. And SOS Support Our Sisters. She's such an effing lady. Go ahead and get those. Thank you guys for coming. Good night.